Hi, I'm Shelley Young, owner of the Chopping Block, and today I'm going to teach you how to cook pumpkin. Now, you might be looking at me and saying, hey, wait, that's not a pumpkin, but it is a pumpkin. This is a French pumpkin, and I chose this today because these are easily recognizable when you go to the market. They're kind of flat and squat, usually some green, some orange, sometimes more one or the other, but very different looking than a jack-o'-lantern or Halloween pumpkin. Those pumpkins are edible, but they're not particularly tasty. They're really grown for their decorative and size qualities, not their flesh. You can find an orange pumpkin sometimes that is called a cooking pumpkin, and it should be identified as that, and you could use that for this recipe as well. Today, the French pumpkin, what we've done is I've hollowed this out, and what you can see right away, even from the cap of this is very fleshy. The aroma is really sweet and you can just tell from the smell, it's very flavorful. If you want to just roast pumpkin for the flesh, refer to our How to Cook a Butternut Squash video, because it is really the same technique as roasting a butternut squash or an acorn squash. Today I want to do something a little festive, so we're going to stuff this. So I've cut the cap off, I've pulled the seeds and the flesh out. The next thing I'm going to do is going to make the stuffing. We're going to put it in there and bake it. So the recipe I'm going to use today is for the stuffing is something that you can certainly change. You can use your favorite stuffing and just put it in the pumpkin. But I'm doing a version of the Thanksgiving stuffing that I like, but you can adapt this to your own taste. So what we're going to start with is some sauteed onions, apples, celery. We're going to saute that in a little bit of butter. Today I have some pumpernickel bread. You can use any good quality bread, just cut it up and toast it a little bit. I usually like to use fresh bread or slightly old, maybe a day old bread versus really old stale bread. I think it tastes better. We're going to add some eggs, some Gruyere cheese, some dried sage, some milk, chicken stock, eggs. Combine that and put that in the pumpkin. Tricky thing about this recipe is you don't know how much stuffing you're going to need for the pumpkin. So I always go on the side of making more stuffing, and I'll just bake that on the side of the pumpkin so that we've got plenty of stuffing. The pumpkin today I have is very fleshy, so there's not a lot of room in it for stuffing. So I want to have extra stuffing anyway, so don't worry about that. So I'm going to start with sauteing the apples and celery and onion. You can see this is really wet because these croutons are really dry. So there's 2 cups of milk and 2 cups of chicken stock. I may have to add some more, but I want to let these bread pieces absorb the liquid. The bread has absorbed most of that liquid. This is about 10 cups of pumpernickel bread. We put the 2 cups of milk and stock, 4 eggs. I've got 2 cups of grated Gruyere cheese here that I'm going to add. I'm going to add the sauteed apples, celery, and onion. We're going to season this. I've got sage here. This is about 2 to 3 tablespoons of sage. I like a lot of sage. I like my stuffing to be very seasoned. Personally, I think it's the bright spot of the meal. And also, when you put this in a pumpkin, consider the pumpkin is not seasoned at all. So whatever the stuffing you're putting in there, you're going to want it to season the whole pumpkin. So I'm going to put a lot of black pepper and a good amount of salt. We're going to give it a taste and stuff our pumpkin. Any extra stuffing I'm going to put in a bowl that I have prepared with some butter. We're going to put the pumpkin in the oven at 375. You're going to see this bubble start to ooze out onto the tray, so make sure you have it on a parchment lined paper tray. I imagine this is going to take about an hour to an hour and a half. One of the easiest ways to tell when it's done is to take the temperature. The internal temperature will be 160 degrees. I know the stuffing is cooked then, and the pumpkin is tender. I'm going to put the additional stuffing in the oven in about half an hour. This won't take as long to bake. So we've taken our pumpkin out of the oven. It's been sitting for about 20 minutes or so. There's a fine line of having it cool enough to slice it and too cool that it's cold. But what I'm going to do is try to slice this and serve it in wedges. You could put this out onto a platter, and that looks really pretty. I'm just going to do one slice for right now. Oh, it looks gorgeous. You can use little pumpkin seeds, pomegranate seeds, some parsley leaves or sage leaves as a garnish on here, and that is how you cook pumpkin.